Hi, everybody. Welcome to my budgeting video. I hope that this is not going to look overwhelming or daunting to you all. I'm going to show you what I typically see some people do when they're budgeting. Some of it I don't use, some of it I do use. Please follow along as much as you can. If you get lost, rewind, go back. I'll try to be as detailed as possible. And I hope to, in the end of all of this, maybe even offer some services to sit down one on one with anybody who would like to sit down and talk about budgeting with me. So let's get started. Again, please do not be overwhelmed. All right, so this is an example. These numbers are fake, they're not my numbers. So we're just going to go along with it. Please try to just keep track with where I am. Don't worry about all these other numbers down here. So here we are. I'm putting in my monthly income. This person, let's say this person gets paid twice a month or every 2 weeks. So they've got paycheck number one is 2000, paycheck number two is 2000. Let's say this person has a side business and is bringing in an additional $200 for the month, or that's what they anticipate for that month. And then I just put in an extra row there just in case. So we have a total here. We've totaled this all up. This sheet already has a lot of the math laid out. So I'm hoping to tweak this sheet and make it work so that if people want it, I could possibly distribute it to people, but the math is already there. So this person's going to bring in about 4,200. And I did put these numbers in, assuming that this is going to be after taxes. You'll want to, decide how you want to figure that out for yourself. I did not add in a row for taxes. If you would like me to add that in, that's something that I could possibly do for you. So, anyways, this person, we're going to go through. They've got $1,200 here for mortgage and or rent. 75, 25, internet is 65, cable is $20. This person has Netflix or something because that's really cheap. Their phone is 70, 200, 25 for a credit card, 50 for this credit card. There's a third credit card that doesn't have anything on there, but it's there. I put this here just to let you guys know, like, hey, if you have a specific bill that's normally there every other month, still go ahead and add it in. So this person doesn't have a third credit card payment, but they do still have the line here. And, they have it as zero. So that way they can keep track of that month by month. Anyways, going down 150, 255, 200, 200. And, these are all labeled out. Obviously, you can change out your labels how you need to. I put in some extra boxes here. The extra boxes, we have zero. We're going to see how that affects us later. Down here, we have a total. This person's expected bills is $3,030 for this month. We're going to come over here. This is the actual amount. So, this is what this person has budgeted over here, but these are the actual amounts. So at some point, this person is going to come back and say, okay, well, how much did I really pay for rent? Okay, they really paid 1,200. They really paid 80 for their electricity. They ended up paying $20 for their water. So, they came in and they put in the actual amounts one by one of what they actually truly paid after they paid off that bill. Get down here and we notice that they actually ended up spending $3,155 for the month. So they budgeted about a little bit over 3,000, but they've spent a little bit over 3,100. So now we'll get into the differences. This sheet, again, I'm not going through the numbers with you, but let me just give you an example. This sheet here already has the math laid out. So let's say this person budgeted 1,200, but let's say they spent 1,300. I put in that 1,300 and click OK. This number over here changes. So you see that there? So the difference column did change. I'm going to go ahead and change that back to 1,200 though. And then that puts it back at zero. But anyways, so essentially now this person is reconciling their budget. So they spent 1,200 and they budgeted 1,200. They budgeted 75 for gas, but they spent 80. So now they have a negative $5 here. Let's see, looking at this, let me highlight this. This might be easier if I highlight it this way. Looking at this row, water, they budgeted 25, they actually spent 20. So they have a positive flow of $5 there. Internet, same idea here. They budgeted 65, they spent 65, so they didn't lose anything. Good. Going down the line, cable, same idea. Phone, internet, credit card, credit card, credit card. Let's get down here into where it gets funny. This person has groceries. So $500 for groceries is what they budgeted. They only spent $425. They've got a positive $75. Great. Entertainment, they spent $25 less than what they budgeted. Beauty services, they spent all of that. The extras, remember, we didn't budget anything for extras. But let's say this person had some sort of a situation and they had to spend $35. So that's reflected here. And so that's a negative $35. They didn't budget extra here, but they spent it. So now we have a negative $35 that we spent. Same thing here. Let's say something else happened, $90. And I don't know what the situation would be, but we're just thinking of situations like, let's say this $35 was they had to take an Uber and they weren't expecting to take an Uber for that day. So that was a $35 ticket or whatever. Maybe they could label that as such here. Let's see, $90 here. Let's say this person had to go and see a doctor. They weren't expecting that. $90 there. And then again, another situation here. They had to spend $100. So now they're in the negative $100 there. So, anyways, once we get past all of this, at the bottom down here, now we can see again what we actually budgeted was about $3,030. What we actually spent was $3,155. And so we have a difference between those two of a negative $125. So this person went over what they actually budgeted for the month. So that's documented here and it highlights in red. If it were positive, like if they actually spent less than what they budgeted, this would be green. And so now I'm going to come over here. I have a box here for notes. My notes in this section will talk about the differences in my budgeted or expected amount versus my actual amounts. What did I do to right? What can I improve on for next month? You know, what do these things look like? I could come in here and I can put in my notes. I did not overspend on food. I can, oh, looks like I lost some words here. Let's go back. Let's see. This thing is fidgety. Okay, there we go. I did not overspend on food. There's the note there. And then I can work on, why do I have this in all caps? Anyways, it's in all caps, but y'all get the point. I can work on an emergency fund for next month. So now, you know, I've got a note in here that's telling myself this is what I did, this is what I didn't do. Excuse my typing. My goodness, my typing is off today. But here are some notes here, and this is just going to keep me on track for the differences that we saw from what we budgeted here versus what we actually spent. And, you know, it keeps us on track in that way. So let me go ahead and delete some of this okay. So I ran through that very quickly, but essentially what is going on here is that you're listing out all of your bills. You know, you're listing out what you expect them to be for the month. You'll probably do this in the beginning of the month. As you pay off these bills, you'll come in here and actually put in the actual amounts here. And then your differences will populate on their own here. And it will tell you, oh, you know, you overspent by $5 here. You actually saved $75 here. You saved $25 here. And then at the end, it'll go ahead and tally up whether you ultimately spent too much money or did not spend money. I will say in the note sections as well, if you did overspend, right? Like if you overspent, you might want to figure out like, well, if I am in a negative, you know, space here, like negative $125, where did that money come from? Did I put that on a credit card? What credit card did I put it on? Do I have a plan for how I'm going to pay that off next month? You can put all of that in your notes section over here. Okay. So this is the part that I actually really and truly do when I worked in corporate America and I had a steady paycheck coming in. This is what I did. I split my bills in half. And I split them in half by my paychecks. So essentially, this is the same set of numbers that we saw up here, rent, all of that. Those numbers didn't change from what we just saw in my first example up here. But what I did do here is that I put in Again, this is assuming that I'm getting two paychecks. Everybody's going to have a different way that they get paid. Some people may not get paid two paychecks in a month. Some people may only get one. You'll have to decide how you need to do that for yourself. But this is just the way that I would do it when I had two paychecks coming in for the month. I knew that rent was, or rent or mortgage was 1,200. So on my first paycheck, I was splitting this in half. So I was allocating $600 to go towards rent. Same idea here. Gas and utilities, $75, splitting it in half. So I'm allocating on this first paycheck $37.50. Same idea with water. $12.50 is half of 25. $32.50 is half of 65. $10 is half of 20. So go down the line and essentially split your bills in half. This sheet that I've put together here already does the math for you. You just simply input your numbers here, and then over here it will populate whatever the half mark is. And then at the bottom, it does again give you your total. So on this one paycheck, if I split all of my bills in half and I put my bills away to prepare for them, I should only have to spend $1,515 on this paycheck. Paycheck number two, same thing. Because it's half, obviously half literally means you're just cutting something and dividing it in equal parts. It's going to be the same numbers here. So paycheck number one over here, and the numbers that I will put away for paycheck number one will be the same thing that I put away for paycheck number two. So here we are. There we have it. This is how much I would technically be spending out of paycheck one, paycheck two to cover all these bills. Over here in this section, we're going to talk about expendable money. Expendable money is essentially the amount of money that you have left over after you've paid all of your obligations. You paid for your food, your bills, everything's been taken care of. Now I've got an additional amount of money left over. On this worksheet, I did go ahead and put in a formula to calculate our expendable money from paycheck to paycheck. So over here, we split our bills in half on paycheck one. We split our bills in half on paycheck two. Remember at the top of the sheet, we went ahead and we put in paycheck number one, we're expecting to get 2,000. Paycheck number two, we're expecting to get 2,000. Okay, great. That's cool. So over here, it has now calculated for us after I've split off paycheck number one. So I've got 2,000 coming in over here from paycheck number one. This is the amount. 1,515 is what I expect to pay if I split off all of my bills. This number over here is my expendable amount of money after all of bills are paid on paycheck number one. Same idea here. This is the expendable amount of money in this cell here of what I have after I pay off all of my bills on paycheck number two. So now I have an account of how much money I have left over for both paycheck number one and paycheck number two. Over here, I've got a note section. This is where we're going to talk about our leftover money. What can I do with this money? Can I add it to savings? Am I going to splurge? How can I make sure that I still have $485 left over on one of my paychecks for next month? Obviously, these numbers are equal. You may not have the same amount of money coming in on every paycheck. So let's say this number, let's go up here. Let's say over here, paycheck number two is actually going to be a $3,000 paycheck. We'll go ahead and update that here. It looks like down here, expendable paycheck number two, we actually, instead of having $485, we actually now have $1,485 left over on paycheck number two. So this sheet that I have here is going to have the math on there. As long as you input your numbers in there correctly, it's going to tell you how much money you've got left over. And then you can put in your notes and decide what you're going to do with that leftover money. I think it's easier if you see where all of your money is going. And once you see where all of your money is going and you know, like I've got $485 left, you can do something with that. You can make a plan for it. Because if you don't make a plan for that money, you're going to spend it. You're going to spend it. You're not going to know where it went. So this is a good way to track all of your dollars and see where all of your dollars are coming from. I hope this was helpful. I went through this fairly quickly. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to sit down and talk with you if you've got any questions or concerns. I do want to work on trying to get this sheet out to people who may be interested in using this sheet, or if you just want to see it as a reference and you like to write everything down, maybe you want to just see this and then you write out your budget monthly. But essentially, this is what I plan to be doing in this year, 2023. And anyways, if you have any questions, let me know. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks.